Hey everybody. So I'm outside, in case you can't tell. I have my AirPod in. Hopefully it'll reduce some of the noise, but it was really nice out. So I wanted to enjoy it while I could. I've been told that it is unseasonably warm for the end of September. But what a great shot of the power lines in my window. Anyway, yeah. I've been told it's unseasonably warm for the end of September. And yeah, yesterday during the day, some people went out for lunch and apparently it was like insanely hot and they were sweating and complaining. And then I went out for lunch and I was like, it's not that bad. So I have been here in the winter. Most of my trips back to visit and everything have been in the winter. But I don't remember it ever being that cold. I've never witnessed any snow or anything like that. And given global warming wreaking its havoc as it is, I'm kind of interested to see what this winter is going to be like here in England. Um, so far, the fall's been nice, warm in the afternoon, a bit chilly in the evening and in the morning. I actually like that weather. Um, I'd like it to be a few degrees warmer because I'm a summer person, but I'll take it. As long as I'm not as long I hate wearing coats. So as long as I don't have to wear this big bulky coat and wrap myself up with scarves and hats and all that stuff, I don't know. I have seen people here already wrapped up like that, but I don't know if it's just that maybe they're ill or maybe they're just not used to the seasons or whatever. I don't know. We'll have to find out. I haven't been here long enough really to assess that in a well-educated way, I should say. Perhaps well-informed way would be a better way to explain it. Anyway, yeah, so welcome to the show. Welcome to another episode. My apologies for the kind of impromptu schedule change, but it just got to be a little bit too crazy trying to upload things 3 times a week. It's way too advantageous for me with work and family and still getting settled in. There's I really tried. I really tried, but it became more uh, like a chore, like a task, and it was stressing me out. And I wasn't doing good enough quality work. I want to do well. I want to do nice, good things for you guys and uh, put out things that actually inform you and entertain you and all of that. And I just felt like I was kind of going through the motions just to get things out in the time frame that I had promised rather than actually, really thinking things through. And I look at some of the, and, really thinking things through, really taking time to make sure that it's quality and it makes sense and it just works. And, with my creative eye and my analytical eye. And it became more, it didn't, it started to become not fun. And I don't want to do this if it's not fun. So, and I look back at some of the material I put out, especially in that like week or so where I was super stressed and really trying to push through, and it was not good. And there's so many things that I would do differently and change. So I decided it's probably better if I just keep it more simple, at least to start, because this is still new for me. Still learning a lot of things with every video and with every live and every interaction I have with you guys. So yeah. I decided, I did some research and I talked to some people who do this online, and, they recommended once a week to start. I still wanted to do this show, though. I still wanted to do this podcast, and I wanted to do the live version because you guys seem to react to like the real life stuff better. So I'm going to be doing the live version, and then I'm also going to do clips, which I have been promising for a while, but I've been promising to do clips from the live podcast out there, but it's been difficult for me to figure out how to do it, to be honest. I'm such a newbie. I literally, at one point, just decided I was going to do this, hit record on my laptop, and just went with it. And it's a very hands-on process. I've been learning as I go, and hopefully, you guys see a bit of an improvement as I go. But I'm working on it. I'm trying to learn from people who've been doing this for a while and are very successful at it. Trying to listen to you guys and what you tell me, but also trying to stay, true and honest. And I started this as just kind of winging it and not being super formal. And I feel like that is more authentic, and it plays better. That's a terrible way of putting it, as if I'm manipulating it. I just feel like you guys react to it more when it's just conversation, you know? Yeah, so that's what this is going to be now. There's going to be a live version, and then I'm going to cut up some shorts and some vlog type videos that I'm going to put out too. Hopefully, that'll help get some more content out there. I'm not going to set a schedule for that because I have to see how that goes and how difficult it is to do that. But that stuff's going to be coming out. And so the podcast is going to be once a month. I'm going to do a live version like this. Once a month, catch you guys up on what's going on, how we're doing as far as adapting to our new lifestyle here in England. Things that are happening, things I've noticed, things that are happening in the world that I feel compelled to speak on, and hopefully having conversations with y'all. And then once a week, on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. GMT, which is Great Britain time. And that's what, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US, and then 11 a.m. Pacific time. Sorry for those guys in the middle in the US. It goes backwards an hour. For anybody that's doesn't know about there's like 4 or 5 time zones in the US. That's just for the continental United States, and then Hawaii and Alaska have their own time zones as well. So if I sat here and listed them all, I'd probably be here for all day. And I'm sure you guys have things to do. So today we're going to talk about, we've hit a milestone in our journey here, in our expat journey, or the citizen coming back to live here in the UK. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about some updates as far as, living in town and my job, and how the new school term started for my daughter. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and some things that have come up, through those things. We had 2 experiences with the NHS, so I'm going to talk about that as well. And then if you guys have any questions or anything like that you want to talk about, throw it at me, and we'll go from there. Tea. It's actually tea. Green tea. I don't know if you can see it. All the Brits, they make fun of me for drinking green tea. Do I not like black tea? No, I actually really like black tea. Um, but black tea tends to make me sleepy for some reason. I don't know why. I like green tea. Green tea just makes me, there's a ton of like antioxidants and things like that in green tea. And with my mental health and everything, it actually does, it gives me energy and it gives me like this calmness. And I suffer from some anxiety issues. So it makes, it helps make my life a little bit easier and a little bit smoother throughout my day. So green tea just tends to calm me and relax me a little bit better than some of the other teas. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think there's like a little less caffeine. Let's just look it up. Fuck it. Let's find out. I know there's tons of benefits to green tea. You guys have some, shout them out. So anti-inflammation, yeah. So I suffer from some inflammation because of my weight, which I am working on, but it tends to put tons of strain on my knees and my ankles, and especially with a lot of the walking that I've been doing. Uh, so it was recommended to me actually by a doctor in America that drinking green tea would try to help some of that. It actually was recommended to me when I was pregnant because my feet and ankles were extremely swollen. I didn't have hypertension or anything, but they were just extremely swollen from the extra weight and everything from being pregnant. So they recommended drinking green tea, and I've been drinking it ever since. And it does help. So it has catechins, which are antioxidants that help prevent cell damage and other health benefits. These antioxidants have various beneficial effects. I love that kind of summary. Thanks. Helps to improve cognitive function, which is something that I've heard. Um, and actually, Alzheimer's and dementia runs in my family, and it's not been proven necessarily, I think, beyond a shadow of a doubt, but there has been evidence that there's like a gene and that it's hereditary and stuff. So um, I'm really cognizant of that and trying to keep my brain sharp, and green tea helps with that, helps improve brain function and cognitive health. And it also seems to be linked with a lower chance of cognitive impairment at middle or older age. And I don't want to explain my age, but I will tell you that someone at work the other day said 30 is middle age, so that means I'm basically got one foot in the grave. So could have thrown him out a window, to be honest, but it also helps with burning fat, which I've heard as well. When I was pregnant, I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant, so we were really health focused. My dietitian at the time was really focused on trying to find natural things that help me, and I remember her saying something about it helping burning fat. It helps with your metabolism and your aerobic and enhance aerobic and resistance. Influence your wait. A 2022 review found that the ability of green tea to positively influence your metabolism is enhanced with aerobic and resistance exercise. So um, it helps with my metabolism and with my weight loss journey. So that's great. Helps increase metabolic rate and in fat burning in the short term, but it is not 100% proven. Um, it does, I guess, boost things that exercise enhances. So and I can use all the help I can get, if you all can tell. Also has some mixed evidence that it might improve the risk of some cancers, such as lung cancer and ovarian cancer, um, lung cancer, uh, cancer. There's a bunch of cancers in my family, actually. I don't know if it necessarily affects the cancers that I've been, not me personally, I have not had cancer that I'm aware of. Um, so I don't know if it helps with those specific types of cancers that have been involved in my immediate family history, but I will definitely take any help with that I can get, because cancer is a bitch. I've seen it firsthand in different stages, and it fucking sucks. I actually just found out a friend of mine is in the midst of being diagnosed, and she's not sure if it's cancerous, and it's fucking scary. My heart goes out. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I gotta get myself checked. Green tea may protect the brain from aging, similar to what we were talking about with the dementia thing. Linked with lowered levels of certain markers related to Alzheimer's, which my grandmother had Alzheimer's. She was diagnosed somewhat early, and at the time, I can't remember the name of the medication, but there is only a medication that helped like delay the progression of it. There's nothing they could really do. I don't think there's a cure now either, but I think they're close from what I've heard. My daughter's here. Down. You want to show off your dress live? She's got a new dress, and it's her birthday, and she wants to show y'all. You want to show everybody? But if you're gonna show them, you gotta show them.
No.
Now all of a sudden you're shy.
Yeah.
Go show them your birthday look.
Just wait till I put my heels on.
Your heels? Are you going out? Going out partying?
Am I?
At what, 10 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. She's gonna go party at 10 o'clock in the morning, apparently. You look beautiful, though. You do. It looks fantastic on you. But it makes you look much older than you are, and I'm not happy about that. It's her birthday today. Now we're going to do some celebrating, but she didn't want to celebrate with me this morning, so fuck her. She's going to be like that. She's turning 13 today. What are you being so nosy for? Go away. She's being nosy. Yeah, she turns 13 today. That's my 13-year-old who looks like she's 25. Very unhappy about that. And if she's anything like me as a teenager, I'm in for it. And if she's anything like me as far as what I was like when I was younger and showing off my body and my attitude about things, then that's what's making me extremely nervous. Luckily, she's smarter than me, so hopefully that'll help. All right. More benefits of green tea. Protect the brain from aging. But if you drink too much, it could increase it. So 13 cups or more a day of all types of tea can increase the chance of Alzheimer's. 13 cups a day? 13 cups of tea a day. That's a lot of fucking tea. That's a lot of tea. Wow. I could never drink 13 cups of tea a day. And to be fair, there's probably Brits out there that can drink 13 cups of tea a day. But, well, funny story. The very first time I came to England with my husband to meet his family, in one day we visited his grandparents in the morning, and then we went and visited some friends. Everybody lived in the same town at that point, or relative to each other in the same town. Now we're kind of spread out, so it's a little harder. We wouldn't be able to do this now. But at the time, everybody lived in the same town or really close to that town. So we had seen his grandparents in the morning, and we had breakfast with them. Then we went to visit some friends. Then we went to my husband's best friend his parents, who are like second parents to him. We went to visit them, and then we went to the friend's house after that, and then we went back to the grandparents' house to like, because that's the family was coming at that time for dinner and stuff. So we went kind of back for like dessert and stuff, um, to visit with them. And that was all in one day. And I must have drank probably like 10 cups of tea, and I was shaking. I'm not used to that much caffeine. I might have maybe 2 cups of coffee a day, max. I'm just not that kind of person where I drink that kind of stuff all the time. I'd much rather have like water or juice and more soda. Kind of addicted to soda. But I remember when we went back to his grandparents at the end of the day for the dessert with the family, they offered me cups of tea, and I was like, no, I can't have any more tea. Because it's just a thing here. I guess it's kind of like, well, it's a little bit more in America. It used to be when you come over to someone's house, that you offer them a cup of coffee. Um, that used to be the culture. I remember when I was younger, that was a lot of the culture. My mom would do that a lot. My grandmother would do that a lot. Um, but now it's more like, do you want something to drink? And then they usually have a list of things that they can offer you. In America, here it's always a cup of tea. You want a cup of tea? Even at work, like if someone's getting up to get a cup of tea, and they'll ask the area, do you guys want tea? Do you want me to get you a drink? So it's just part of the culture here. Everywhere I went, everybody was offering me a cup of tea, and it's just how the culture is. But I just wasn't used to it. So by the time we got back to my husband's grandparents' house for dessert with the family, I was like, "Can I please have some water?" And they all looked at me like I had three heads. And then I asked for ice, which was they were like, "No, we don't have ice." I was like, "Oh, that's okay." They literally it was tap water. I mean, just a glass of tap water, which is fine. Because the tap water here is they're everything's a lot cleaner here, and you can actually drink the tap water here in England, because they actually pay attention to how they clean it in all the areas of the country. Um, but yeah, and then I asked for ice, and they were all like, "No, we don't have ice." They didn't even have a freezer. I don't think my husband's grandparents. I don't even remember them having a freezer. He was a gardener, so he grew some stuff, and then he would go to town every day. So I think he got like his meats and stuff every day while he was in town. Um, my husband's grandfather. But yeah, that's the story I always tell when people ask me about, what it was like when I first came to England. My very first visit to England, that was like the second or third day I was here too. And I was like, I can't. If I drink another fucking cup of tea, I'm probably gonna go into some kind of like anxiety shock or something, because my blood pressure was high, and I had the shakes a little bit. It's way too much caffeine for me. It was really, really uncomfortable. Anyways, it also helps manage blood sugar, right? I remember that now too. Now that I've seen it, it reminds me that my dietitian when I was pregnant said it does help regulate blood sugar. So when I had the gestational diabetes, she said that was key. That was where I learned about green tea, and I started to like it. I never had it before, and it also has been linked to the possibility of helping you lose weight, which makes sense if it helps with the metabolism and all that, and also possibly help to prevent heart disease, which is huge as well. And of course, all of those things combined help you live a little bit longer and hopefully a little bit happier and healthier. So, and to be honest, I just like the taste of it better. Black tea tends to have a little bit of a harsher, bitter kind of flavor to it. A lot of the brands. So for me, the green tea works out the best, even though I get made fun of like crazy. But I'm kind of getting used to that. Pretty much every day I get made fun of for one thing or another here. All right. So I wanted to start with the New York City. There's some things happening in New York City. I don't know if you guys have seen it. And when I make this clip out, I will definitely put some footage of some of the things that I've seen. New York City is flooded. It's in a state of emergency. Half a foot of water above ground level. It looks like it's mostly like it's a lot of Manhattan and upstate. Is that Manhattan? Southeast. So I'm just looking at a bigger map here. New Rochelle, I know, is like southern Westchester. So yeah, it must be northern Manhattan of New York City and southern New York State. Yeah. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. For those of you who don't know New York, you've not been there or it's been a while or anything like that, Manhattan uh, is an island, and there's also Staten Island and Long Island, and then there's the southern upstate, which is connected to the rest of the land is then connected to the mainland, and then the southern portion of that kind of goes around the Hudson, which is the river that is around the Manhattan, and then it kind of juts into the water, so it's surrounded by water basically, and a lot of the population is concentrated in the five boroughs, which is Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Staten Island, and Long Island. And so, as you can imagine, anytime that there is excessive rain, anytime that there is, large storms in the sea, hurricanes and stuff like that, it's always a temperamental um, thing to manage in those areas. Also, for those of you who don't know New York and have never been there, it is heavily reliant on tunnels and bridges to get, from one side of the one borough to the next in New York City, in the city part. And also, the subway system is extensive and pretty much it's obviously all underground. And the underground systems are massive, and there's a ton of different lines, and it is heavily, heavily used by the population to get around. So, and a lot of the trains going in and out of New York from places like New Jersey, Connecticut, upstate New York, also all go into Penn Station, which is underground. So it's a really, yeah, it's a really difficult situation. And from what I've seen, the footage that I've seen, a lot of it is, the subways are filling with any of the there's a lot of apartments that are built like in basements and stuff of brownstones and buildings. So those are all getting flooded. A lot of the tunnels it's wreaking havoc on the tunnels in and out of the city. It's just insane. It's insane. I'm just looking at something before I speak on it because I want to make sure it's intelligent. New York City has the most extensive network of streets, water mains, and storm and sanitary sewers in the US. And they have a lot of underground infrastructure. I think, yeah, the infrastructure in New York City is like a public-private partnership. So yeah, that's what I thought. So it's basically the government's responsible for it, the government oversees it, the government puts money into it, but there's private companies that do the actual work, and there's private companies that are responsible for the maintenance and all that. If anyone has visited New York City, so there's always maintenance going on in the cities, particularly in the subway systems and train systems, both underground and above ground. But hold on one sec. Um, so there's always stuff going on, but because it's partners with privatization, it's private companies. At the end of the day, private companies are always looking to make money, and they're always looking to improve on their profit margin. So unfortunately, that usually comes with cutting costs, whether it's cutting people's jobs or benefits, or cutting corners when they're doing maintenance, or not, pushing maintenance back that should be done now. And I don't obviously know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if that has something to do with why it's consistently flooding when there's heavy rain systems in the area. And there's heavy torrential rain causes havoc anyway, and it's happening more and more often because of climate change. And there's no, preventative measures or proactive ways of trying to improve the systems in order to, make sure that doesn't happen when these torrential rains come about. And there's very little being done to keep the maintenance going as it is. So, these systems were put in place in like the late 1700s, early 1800s. So if they're not being maintained properly, or they're not built for these types of weather systems that we're encountering here in the 21st century, then of course it's going to crumble. And of course it's going to wreak havoc. And it's New York. There's millions of people that live in New York City. There's millions of people, in addition, that commute to New York City to work. And, um, you know, it affects everybody, you know. All right, I'm just trying to see if I can get some details about what happened. So the rain is slowing a bit, and the flood borders are receding a bit, which is good news. My laptop's shitty and really slow. It doesn't really say what the causes are. It just talks about the climate and the torrential rain. So, yeah. A lot of people, in one of the previous episodes, I talked about the privatization that a lot of people are pulling for here in the UK, and how I was kind of ranting against it and how it wreaks havoc, and it's not a good idea. And some people came back and said that I was being a bit kind of obnoxious and like a know-it-all and stuff, and I didn't mean to come off that way in any way. But in America, the public sector really doesn't take care of things the way um, they're presumed to, right? And there's so many things that are privatized in America that should not be. I mean, healthcare is a perfect example of it. And look at how many people die in America just from not having healthcare, or just from not going to the doctor when they should. So I certainly don't mean to sound preachy. I am not a know-it-all by any means. I am not an expert in any of these fields either, but I did experience it for the first half of my life. And I experienced it from a perspective where I grew up not having the money to go to the doctor, and I saw people suffer from preventing, or delaying going to the doctor when they were sick or had an illness or they were hurt, and it ended up causing them problems for the rest of their lives. Some people died from it, and in my immediate circle. So I don't want to sound like, preachy or anything like that, but at the same time, it would also be extremely irresponsible of me to have this information and have this life experience to share, this anecdote, um, to illustrate how privatization doesn't work, and not share it with people, especially when you're in an environment where that is being pushed as the solution to more funding and bettering public programs here in the UK. So I certainly don't want to come off like that because I'm not an expert in politics or in infrastructure or in privatization or economics in those fields at all. But I did live it and I did experience it, and I'm lucky enough that I'm in a position now where not only am I in a country where I don't have to worry about some of those things anymore at the moment, but I'm at the point where, I'm in a financial position where if I did have to worry about some of it or part of it, then I could hopefully afford it. And at the very least, it wouldn't bankrupt me. But I'm also in a position where I can inform you guys. And I want to learn. So I know there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. And if there's a reason that you feel that going down that path works for a specific industry or a specific job market or a specific type of infrastructure, I'm all ears. I want to learn about it. But in my experience, it doesn't work. There's tons and tons and tons of things in America that are privatized that cause people to die, cause people to get really hurt, really sick. And it's all because they cut costs because they want to make more money. And I don't want to see that happen to the UK. I don't want to see it happen to anyone. It shouldn't be happening to anybody. It's insane that it's even allowed. That gets us into a whole nother set of stuff that I'm not an expert on that people are going to pick apart. So anyway, let's move on to something else. The medical thing that I brought up actually is a good segue into our experience with the NHS. So, because I'm extremely American and I just, at the moment, ask questions about every little thing, and if the person that I'm asking doesn't know, then I just assume it's like America until someone tells me differently, or until I have an experience that's different. So, when my daughter started her first term, I assumed she needed a checkup. She doesn't need any shots anymore because she's at the age where she doesn't really need them except for like flu shots and things like that. So like immunizations and stuff. But I wanted to have her have a checkup before she started school just to make sure she was good and also to ask the questions, right? So we made the appointment, took a couple weeks for her to get in because it wasn't an emergency or anything, but not a big deal. As I said, it was just a checkup. Had a conversation with the doctor, and she had a private conversation with the doctor. They checked for signs of mental health issues or anything like that. And they did all the checkup stuff that you would normally do. She didn't need any immunizations. I gotta actually send that over to them. That of all the stuff that she got shots for, obviously in America. And they asked her a bunch of questions, and we went from there. She's in good health. Very happy about that. And except for some mental issues, which have to do with the adjustment and normal 12, 13-year-olds problems, she's doing great. Very happy about that. We leave the doctor's office and went about our day. I didn't have to have money on me. I didn't have to have a credit card. I didn't have to call my insurance. I didn't have to give my insurance card. Literally just walked in the door, said, here we are, did our thing, and left. No bills in the mail, nothing. Now, she's a minor. The insurance that we had in America, preventative care, was covered 100% for all of any minor, anyone under 18. So I thought, okay, that's pretty equivalent, right? That's apples to apples. I probably would have had the same kind of situation other than presenting my insurance card when we showed up in America. So I'm okay. Then my husband hurt his back. Turned out to be just a pulled muscle, and he just needs to rest for a few days and he's good. But he went to the doctor. So I was grilling him about his experience, and he walked into the doctor. Let me backtrack. because it was hurting a lot and it was actually affecting work and driving and things like that. So he called and he explained that to them. They said, okay, this is considered an emergency, so we're going to get you in tomorrow morning. They got him an appointment first thing in the morning. If it wasn't an emergency, then it would have been like a week or so out. So it's still not too bad. We still would have gotten an appointment pretty quickly. But because it was affecting his work and he was having trouble even, walking and stuff like that. So they got him in right away. Next morning, 8 o'clock appointment, got him in. He got there. He said he signed in on a kiosk, which I've done in America, right? That's a normal thing since COVID now. Sorry. Hold on. Hold 1 second. Vivian! One of your surprises is coming. It's going to be delivered. Be on the lookout. They're going to probably call to get in. Just let them in, and they'll come to the door. And they'll let you know if for some reason they don't know how to get in or whatever. And then come get me, and I'll take care of it. Okay? They'll call saying, open the door. And then you just open the door, and they'll come to this door. If they don't know how to get in for some reason, then they'll just ask you, and then come get me, and I'll go meet them out. Okay? Should I tell them to leave it at the door? You can open it. It's your surprise. Daughter's surprise number 1 of her birthday is arriving. I had to give her instruction. Anyways, so where was I? So my husband goes to his doctor's appointment, signs in his kiosk, waits. He said he waited about 5 minutes, maybe 10. They call him in. He starts telling the doctor what happened, where the pain is, where the pain is, in various scenarios. Then 15 minutes, the doctor's like, okay, it's a pulled muscle. This is what you need to do. Here's what you need to take painkillers. He didn't need a prescription, thankfully. Lying about that. I think he did need a prescription. I can't remember if it was, he needed a prescription, but I think it might have been for something else that he was talking about. I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Okay, so he tells him, the doctor says, here's what you need to do. It was like a Wednesday morning appointment, I think. So he said, take the rest of the day off of work, and take the rest of the week off so that you can rest. He has a conversation with work. Work's like, okay, we'll see you next week. And he's been home all week resting and, nurturing his back issue. We didn't have to pay anything. I think he did get a prescription. Now that I'm finally sorting my head out, he did get a prescription for some pain. I don't even think he has taken it, to be honest with you. He's been taking like the equivalent of Tylenol, which is actually much stronger here, and just been taking it easy, just been relaxing, stretching and things like that. And work didn't give him a hard time, and he is there's no sick time, so he's obviously injured. He has a note from the doctor saying he's injured and he's got to be out all week, and that's it. They're done. No bill, didn't have to pay a copay, didn't have to talk to insurance, don't have to worry about it coming in, didn't have to pay a cent. Just went in, made the appointment, had the issue, made the appointment, went in, talked to the doctor, told him what he needs to do, and he's home. While he was at the doctor's appointment for his back, he had mentioned he's having some kind of reaction to shaving for his skin. He has eczema, so it's sometimes it's hard with like water changes in water and things like that. So he was having a reaction, and he had mentioned it to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Oh yeah, here's another prescription for that. Go fill that, and that'll help with that." Again, we had to pay for the prescription, which was maybe 10 pounds, I think. So it's, when you think about the fact that you're not paying insurance premiums, you're not paying co-pays, you're not paying for the doctor visit, you're not going to get, 20 to 30% of the bill of doctor's visit and whatever exams they had or whatever in the mail later, on top of the prescription. I'll take the 10-pound prescriptions. So that's 2 encounters in this month with the NHS that it went off without a hitch. Like there was no issues. There was no, oh, this place doesn't take your insurance, or insurance is only going to cover part of it, or is there a generic version of this prescription because I can't afford that, the name brand version, blah, blah, blah. All that shit out the window. None of it. Didn't have to deal with any of that hassle. And I don't have to worry about getting a bill in the mail for either doctor's appointment. And I know my daughter's healthy and she's doing well. My husband's going to get the treatment and he's going to get well and he's going to be able to work and it's not going to be a long-term effect. And we can just go about our day. It's not free healthcare. You pay for it as part of your taxes. But just think, wouldn't it be nice, instead of having to pay insurance premiums or stay in a job because they have really good benefits, and then have a savings account, a flexible savings account or a health savings account, or even your own private savings account for any kind of medical emergencies? Wouldn't it be nice to just be able to go to the doctor when you're sick? Pay for that in advance. It goes into a little system that funds the entire country's medical procedures, whatever it is they need, and you just go about your day. And when you're sick, you go to the doctor. I know I've had conversations with people who are very close to me about this. Socialized medicine works, you guys. It does. As long as the government is actually taking responsibility for it, it's being funded properly, the people who do the work, the nurses, the doctors, all of the support staff and all of that are actually being taken care of, it works. It even works in America. We have forms of socialized medical care in America. My father was lucky enough to be part of it. He was a veteran, so he got veterans benefits and his medical care was taken care of. He got diagnosed with throat cancer. He had a trachea. He had radiation. He had hospitalization because he got COVID. He had breathing treatments and he was hospitalized for, I think it was 7 or 8 days at one point. He had hospice at the end of his life where people came in and took care of him and all of that. When he died, someone came in and took him to the coroner for us. We didn't have to pay for any of it. Emergency room visits even got reimbursed by the Veterans Association. My parents would have went bankrupt and lost their house if he wasn't a veteran. And I really, really think that when my mom gets sick, something similar is going to happen. Sorry. Yep. Thank you. What the hell? It's for your dad too. This is supposed to be around it, actually. Like this. That's how it was supposed to be. Hello? So this is how it was supposed to be given to you. I know you guys love Krispy Kreme, right? Yeah. Let Daddy see it like this. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm like 7 inches tall and... Fuck off. We have Krispy Kreme here. Hell yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
The only thing is with this dress, you just gotta remember this because of the way it lit, the way it is, that goes in.
I do know how to do it.
It goes in
Don't
like,
want my tits to fall out.
it goes in like that. This is how it's supposed to sit.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So whenever you see the
Much
seam,
sexier, actually.
it is much sexier. All right, move in.
Uh-huh.
You don't need to be talking about sexiness. You're 13. Have fun. It's much sexier that way. You're 13. Blech. I don't know if I'm ready for this. So the NHS stuff, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry about all the interruptions, you guys, but it is the partner and the child's birthday, so to be fair, I'm kind of doing this on their time because I was I have a cold, so I was a little bit sick the other day when I had my own private time that I was originally scheduled to do some of this stuff, but uh, like I said, I had a cold earlier in the week, so I took that time to rest and recoup instead. So here I am. Yeah, she has to worry about sexiness at 13. Please. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. What the hell? Anyway. Yeah, I was still sleeping at 10 o'clock in the morning when I was 13. Especially on a Saturday when I didn't have to get up. Fuck yeah. Anyway. Now I can't even sleep until like 8. Kids, man, they fuck you up, dude. So our NHS experience twice in 1 month, and I don't know. For me, I even at one point when we were still living in America, I was working out the financial burden because a lot of people had. Oh, I started to tell this story. A lot of people close to me were telling me, "Oh, it's more expensive because the tax. You pay more in taxes than you would for the private healthcare. Blah blah blah." But when you factor in your state tax, your local tax, your federal tax, any of the disability and all that extra stuff that you pay, your Social Security, plus your insurance premiums from your job, and anything that you're putting aside, if you, like I said, if you have a flexible savings account or a health savings account, which are things in America that insurance companies provide in order to help with the cost of healthcare, if you add everything up that you're contributing to all of that and compare it to the amount of tax that's not just for the NHS, but all the services. Like taxes here cover the NHS, they cover the police force, they cover fire departments, they cover the council, which is maintenance of the roads and maintenance of the parks and all that kind of stuff. So if you factor in everything that the tax covers here in a little bit higher tax percentage compared to what you pay in America, it's the same amount of money. And here you don't have to worry about, volunteers for your fire department. You don't have to worry about getting bills of, thousands of dollars for medical treatment. You don't have to worry about the police not being funded properly or not showing up in a certain area if there's an issue. You just don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I'm not going to say it's perfect. I'm sure there's improvements that can happen here. I'm sure there's ways that we can cut spending and still be more efficient in things and all of that. But if you're paying the same amount of money, I'd rather pay it up front and know all of that is taken care of and just be able to do what I have to do throughout my day and worry about living my life and taking care of myself and my family and the people around me and trying to help the community than have all of the same exact expense up front, but still have to worry about having a savings account to pay for anything on the back end, or have to worry about if the police are actually going to come to my house, or if there's enough volunteer firemen and firewomen coming to save my house if I'm on fire. Like, I shouldn't have to worry about that or worried about the infrastructure of the roads. If you're going to pay the same amount of money anyway, it just makes sense for me. I'd rather pay it up front, personally, pay it up front, all that hassle's taken out. Let's focus on living and doing the best that we can with what we have. My opinion, some people don't agree with me. I've had conversations with people about universal health care with people who are close to my dad who experienced it, as I told you before, firsthand, saw it firsthand, and still want to tell me that it's not viable for the United States because they don't want to pay for other people's abortions, or if someone has throat cancer because they smoke cigarettes, they don't want to be responsible for that person's tab. Come on, have a sense of community, have a sense of humanity. Everybody's going to get sick at someday, so everybody's going to get old someday. Everyone's going to have a medical treatment they're going to need some point that they weren't expecting. Just fucking come on. It's not all about us individually. It's about us as Americans, about us as communities, about us pulling together to make the country better. Anyway, my rant's over. Moving on. So we hit our 6-month anniversary this month. We've been in the UK officially 6 months. This month here in September. That was a really, really abrupt transition. All right. So anyway, we've hit the 6-month mark here in September. It feels strange because it actually doesn't feel like it's been that long, because so much has happened. We landed, we got my residency solidified, my temporary residency. My husband started a job, I started a job, my daughter started school, we got an apartment, we got a car, meeting up with friends. I celebrated a birthday. My husband and my child are celebrating a birthday. We've unfortunately had some loss of some loved ones. Other loved ones are a little bit ill or experiencing issues with their loved ones. So it hasn't been smooth by any stretch of the imagination. But now that we're kind of on the back end of a lot of that stuff, I feel good. I'm definitely more relaxed here in most senses. I still have my anxiety issues. I still have, especially at work, my anxieties wreaked some havoc at work. And I've made some ridiculously stupid errors that even me looking at it from a novice, if I had no work experience or anything like that, I'm like, what did I do that? How did I do that? How did I even do that? And it basically boils down to I'm getting distracted very easily, or I am not really paying attention and I'm not being focused. So that's been a little bit of a struggle for me. Not a lot of it, some of it has to do with working in the office again. And the environment, everyone's always going, everyone's shouting across from each other, phone's always ringing. It's a smaller office, it's an open office. Even the executives don't have their own office or anything like that. So it's loud, there's a lot of activity going on a very consistent basis, and it's just something that I'm out of habit working under. So I have to work on that. And I did have a conversation with the manager of the department the other day and expressed some of those concerns. She offered a couple solutions or possible solutions that may help. I'm working on some stuff, of course, personally, just slowing down, taking a couple extra breaks to just clear my head and make sure I'm focusing, trying to just do one thing at a time and not stopping and just writing it down and going back to it later. If someone asks me a question or needs me, going back to it later. Triple checking things before I send them out. Little things like that I think I've kind of took advantage of the fact that a lot of this stuff, because I had been working in corporate America since I was 18. I think a lot of the things that had just become automatic for me because the basic procedure was the same no matter what company or industry I was working in. And most of the departments that I was working in, once I got the basics of that company's specific details and how, their products and how they worked specifically, the basic underlying how you handle things was all the same. Here it's not so much. It's a little different, and there's a lot of cultural differences that I was not taking into account, and I was taking for granted, and I was being a little arrogant about. So I do have to work on that and humble myself a bit more and realize that, it is what it is, and I have to, this is what I've chose to do, so I have to hunker down and take a little more responsibility for each step and not take it for granted. But the good news is the environment here, as far as the workforce environment is much more conducive to workers and protecting them and their rights. So I don't have to worry about like making a big mistake and then getting fired. It's not necessarily an at-will environment like it is in a lot of places in corporate America. Again, I'm only talking about corporate America because I know it's different for different industries and different sectors of the workforce in America. But for as far as corporate America, a lot of it is at will. So you can quit at any point, but you can also get fired at any point. Here, it's a little different. It's based on contracts, and there's a much stronger labor protection situation here, and it's a lot harder for you to get fired for without having warnings, and it's a lot harder for it to be a surprise here. And at the same time, you have to give a lot more notice when you're leaving a job here and things like that too. So it's not it's not 100%, and there are expectations. You do have a probationary period, which I'm still under, and things like that. But overall, with those kind of stresses and worries taken out of my head, if I just hunker down and focus a little bit more, I know I can do better, and I will. I will get there. So yeah, so the job's going pretty well for the most part. Just very busy. It's much busier than they had told me it was going to be. So, and I do miss working from home. I do miss having just that privacy and that relaxed environment. That is something that I'm struggling with, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Partner's job going great. He's liking it, and happy for him to be in that position for him. School's going well for the child, and she seems to be somewhat enjoying it. And she's been in this term. I've got to get used to the translations. This term, she's been enrolled in some like advanced placement classes, so I'm very proud of her for that. And also, she's taken a test for the grammar school, which is kind of like the gifted, accelerated kind of version of the classes. So we haven't gotten the results of that yet, but I'm sure she's going to smash that because she's super intelligent and really bright. And as long as she concentrates, she can do anything. So I'm pretty sure she'll be good there. And even if she doesn't, she's still going to excel. She's still going to do well as long as she puts some effort into it. Because she's at the age now where I don't like school, and why is it important, and why do I have to go, and rebellious kind of stage, which we've all hit at one point in our lives. But she's enjoying it for the most part. She did this ambassadorship the other day where she kind of showed people around the school, like after school, people who wanted to come and take a look at the school for their children and things like that. And she was an ambassador to show people around and explain things and answer questions. She did that voluntarily, so I'm kind of proud of her for that. And I think that's a good sign that she's enjoying herself, because I don't think that she would want to be as involved and as part of the culture as much if she wasn't. So I'm going to take it as a win. And someone in the parking lot below us just started their car. So overall, being here 6 months has been really good. Someone asked me the other day if I'm happy, and I got caught off guard because I wasn't expecting to be asked that so soon. But I am. It's a very different lifestyle. It's much more conducive to work-life balance. It's much more conducive to relaxing. And that is a bit of a stereotype, but it is true. And it's much more conducive to just living your life. Work is part of your life, and your home is part of your life, and your family is part of your life, and your hobbies are part of your life, and all of that mixed together creates this big puzzle of your life, rather than this huge chunk being focused on work and being so exhausted from all of the things that come with that it affects everything else that you're doing, or you don't have a hobby, or your family life is not going as well, or you don't have time to have as much family, etc. And I like the work culture. I like the culture that people come in, they work hard, they do their best. Everyone's trying to help each other. But at the end of the day, when it's time to clock out and leave, unless you need to stay, unless there's a catastrophe or there's a project that needs to be done or an emergency that needs to be taken care of right away, everyone's out. And to the point where managers are saying, "Come on, time to get out. Shut your shit down. It'll be there tomorrow. Let's go." So I know this, again, it's not like that for everything. Obviously, things like, people who work in the hospitals and stuff like that have a little bit more, a little bit different of an environment and stuff. But for the most part, it seems like that. I mean, even the shops in town are like, some of them are shut at like 6 o'clock on like a Thursday. So, yeah, the whole place is just the community environment. It's conducive to just relaxing and enjoying your life. And that's definitely something that's completely different than America. And it just, for me, like I said, I have anxiety issues and things like that. So for me, I'm happy. The not having to do a lot of yard work, especially with fall coming, that's helping me too. For those of you who don't know, in America, our house we were lucky enough to have a corner lot that was a quarter acre. And there was tons of trees. The neighborhood had been there since the 50s. It was a post-war neighborhood, and post-World War II neighborhood. I got to specify that for Americans. And so there's lots of mature trees and tons of landscape and stuff, and it was really beautiful, but it was a ton of work. And here we're in the UK. We're now in a flat that is maybe a third of the size of our house in America, but we don't have any yard work to do. Any of the maintenance is pretty much taken care of for us because we live in it's a block of flats here in the UK, and it's an apartment complex in the US, to translate for y'all. So we have there's a management team here that takes care of a lot of the maintenance and things like that. So you just call up and tell them we're having a problem. And basically, we just have to worry about work and school and, our health and whatever's going on in our life and handling all of that. So, yeah, I'm happy. I'm enjoying it. It's great. I'm gonna end on that. I just want to say one more thing, and again, I'm not trying to sound preachy. I want to. This is very sincere and from the heart. But I'm happy because I'm happy now because I was not happy in America. And because even from when the time that I first met my husband to even up until we left America, we had gone through a lot of changes and had taken a ton of steps and tried a bunch of different things to try to improve our life and make us even more happy than we were. We had moments of happiness, we had times where we were really, really happy, and then times where life was shit. That's life, it's gonna happen. But if you want to have a certain type of lifestyle, if you want to have a certain type of atmosphere around you, community around you, or just a certain life, then you have to make intentional choices and take deliberate actions to get there. It's not going to happen to you if you just sit there and wait and wish for it. You have to do the work. And one of the things that I am so admirable of my husband is that he's never afraid to change things up and try something new to try to make our life better and more of what we want. There were several times in America where he was like, I don't want to uproot my life again. I don't want to start all over again. But when it came down to it, we had to make the decision of whether or not we were going to uproot and start all over again. He was okay with it because of, us having conversations, us explaining why we were unhappy to each other, what we both wanted out of life, and that was the best way for us to get there. Um, so many people settle, especially in America, because they don't feel like they have that support to, you know, take that leap of faith, even if it's a small one. But you don't you don't let that stop you. If you want something, go for it. And you're gonna stumble and you're gonna fail and you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna be like, oh shit, yeah, that didn't work. And it's not the life I thought it was, or it's not the job I thought it was, or it's not the partner I thought it was gonna be for the rest of my life, or whatever the situation is. It's okay. I don't think there's anything in my life. I've have tons of regret and I wish I had done a ton of things differently. But I don't think I failed at anything because everything that I failed at or other people would label as a failure or other people think, is a waste of time has taught me something or I've learned something from or has pushed me towards a different direction that ended up being good for me and ended up being positive for me. So life is about what you do and what you bring to it and how you look at it and your perspective on it. And there are circumstances that you can never change that you're going to have. And you have to recognize what you have control over and what you don't have control over. Do I have control over, though, that can make those circumstances I don't have control over easier to bear or possibly have an effect on them in a positive way so that it's not as much of a burden on me? Or is there something that I have control over that can take me away from that burden, even if it's just for a small amount of time, and even if it's just for me? Even if it's painting a picture every day just to take my mind out of all of the financial stress I have, or the health concerns I have, or the concerns about the what's happening around the globe or in my own backyard even, and no one ever sees that painting but me. But does it take me out of that and does it bring me joy and does it give me value for that time that I'm painting at or that time that I go back and look at it on my own? If it does, then it's worth it. If it does, then it's valuable to you and then it's worth your time and it's worth your attention. And those deliberate moves, even if it's something as simple as that, can change your perspective and can change your trajectory. So don't give up on it. Don't give up on yourself and don't settle. Don't take no for an answer. If you're not happy with whatever it is in your life that you're not happy with, You have the power to change it. It's your life and no one else's. And even if everybody else is against you, tell them to fuck off. That's some boomer advice for you, for someone who's been around apparently in the like last half of my life, because 30 is midlife from what I was told earlier this week. Take from that what you will. I hope some of it you can apply to your life and you can make your life better in some circumstance. And if there's anything else I could help you with, if you have questions or concerns or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Reach out to me, even if you want to do it privately. I am not an expert on anything, but I am here. I am open. I am willing to listen, and I am willing to help in any way that I can, even if it's just giving you somebody to hate on. I don't care. That's fine. If it's going to help you, then I'll be your punching bag. Anyways, that's going to be it for us on this episode. Thanks all for joining me live. That you've joined me live. I appreciate you all. Thank you. And there will be some clips of this out on the channel, hopefully in the next week or so. But I'm not going to hold you to it. But there is a new vlog coming out on Tuesday about some things that we've done here while being in the UK. And I have tons of stuff planned, so it's just about finding the time to get it all looking presentable in my version of what I think is presentable to y'all. But I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for all your support. Make sure you like this. Make sure you share it. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And make sure you leave comments, questions, concerns, hate, whatever it is that you want to tell me. Even the negative stuff, I don't care. Put it in the comments below. Love you guys. Have a great day. Have a great life. And I'll talk to you soon.